Hello gentle viewers, this is Avindian, welcoming you to a quick video about Imperator Rome, why it's not going to be on the channel, and what will be changing with the channel in the weeks to come. First things first, I know that I promised to be playing Imperator Rome when the new Pompey patch released, and I'd actually played enough to record 2 episodes, and then I got stuck where I am right now. I do not, at present, find Imperator Rome to be playable as Rome. And for me, if you can't play as Rome, I don't want to play it. So, let me talk about what Pompey actually changed, and then hopefully explain to you why I decided to play Tropico 6 instead. And you've probably already seen Tropico 6 is posted, so you at least have that. So, in history, the Roman Republic was represented by 2 people called consuls, and the consuls shared responsibility for ruling Rome. And different consuls separated things out in different ways. In some cases, you would have one consul run the government, while the other one ran out with the army. You could have one consul specialized in finance, and another one that specialized in trade. Different consuls developed different working relationships. Sometimes they were both army commanders, and that led to horrible things, such as during the Punic Wars, where both consuls were with the Roman army and would have to alternate command each day because that's what the rules of the Roman Republic said. The consuls were meant to be equal in every way. Now, Paradox made a game decision that I fully support, because otherwise it would just be too confusing, which is basically making one consul subordinate to the other, averaging the popularity, and letting you keep the best stats from the best character. I have no complaint whatsoever about that system. But here's what I don't like, and it specifically involves Rome. Because of the Senate system in Rome, your second or third largest faction will always be the populists. And unless you're willing to be extremely manipulative, it's impossible to keep the populists from becoming consul. If they become consul, everything in the entire game gets harder. There is never a good reason to have the populace in charge unless you want to become dictator later on in the game. And I find that to be a horrendous design decision. To code the game in such a way, because if you look very carefully, it's easy to see here. No. Where is it? Right there. Populists get double the support. And that's just... I get why they're trying to do it. I understand the logic. I just don't think it works. The logic is, look, you as the player have to contend with these nefarious persons called the populists, who are completely subjected to the will of the people and things of that nature. And it's to create something for you to struggle against. But I don't think they executed it well, because you have basically 2 options in Imperator Rome if you play as Rome. You can either never do what you want to do in foreign policy, because the populace will rarely back you, or you go hardcore into backing the populace and become a dictatorship, or you get a bunch of tyranny that's really, really, really hard to lose. In the past, tyranny was not nearly so hard to get rid of. But now it is. And tyranny doesn't attach to a character, it attaches to the whole country. And while you can see there are some positives to tyranny, it also makes everyone in the country hate you more. And this is just... Tyranny used to be something easily avoided. I appreciate they wanted the player to wrestle with it. But because it's so hard to get around the populace without using tyranny, or permanently accepting that your country is crippled, it becomes not fun to play as Rome. It really, truly does. I know what Paradox was trying to accomplish, and I think they overstepped it. I think they went too far in the other direction. There needs to be a way to either get rid of tyranny much more quickly, or a way to manipulate the political system in the Senate so that you don't have to use tyranny. Because I can very easily do what I want to here and declare war if I either accept 5 tyranny or use my console powers and pump up, let's say, for example, the civic faction. And that is just, it's not fun. It's a bad system right now. And because I can't play as Rome, and the game is called Imperator Rome, I don't think I would enjoy myself playing this game any more than I already have. Maybe when the Cicero update comes out, my opinion will change. And maybe I'll enjoy Imperator Rome and I'll play for years and years and years. But right now, I just find it very difficult to play. Because they've built a system where warfare is the primary way to improve your country, and yet they make it hard for Rome to go to war. That's not a great system. If I were in Paradox, or if I was a particularly good modder, I would do one of 2 things. First of all, this is not divided. A majority of the Senate supports me. Therefore, I should be able to declare war without a penalty. It is absolute absurdity to use 60 seats as the, oh, they're not divided. Not divided is 51-49 as far as I'm concerned. You don't need a 2/3 majority, or even slightly less than 2/3 majority. You just need a popular vote in the Roman Republic. So that's the easiest fix. Make it so that I have to deal with the populace to a certain degree, but they don't cripple my strategy just because I do all these things that inadvertently make them stronger. That's number one. That's one solution. The other solution is to not make it cost tyranny, but make it cost stability. If you truly want to set this arbitrary, you need 60 seats to pass something, then it shouldn't just be, oh, the consul's a dick. It should be, the consul is fucking with the government of Rome. This should be a huge deal, not a little deal. And I think stability is the better tool for that. Stability now, by the way, is on a 0 to 100 scale instead of -3 to +3. I think losing these bonuses that you see on your screen is far more important. And would represent that, yes, it's a serious cost. I think this whole tyranny thing is too crippling because it makes everyone in the country hate the current ruler. Whereas this sort of does that and sort of doesn't. If that makes sense to you, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. In any case, that's another way to make this system playable for Rome. The third way is just provide a way to get rid of tyranny. Right now there isn't. If we look at the possible actions we can take, none of these get rid of tyranny. I can make my character more corrupt. I don't know why I do that, but I could. I can sacrifice popularity to influence somebody else. The other thing I don't like, and it's the last thing I'm going to talk about in a meaningful way here, is the other way to do this. If you look at, if I click on this button, it tells you why people won't vote for me. I could try to make friends with a faction leader, right? And that would push things over the top. Except, it's nearly impossible to make friends with someone. In the first video that I've recorded, I tried 4 different times to make a person my friend. I poured lots of money into it, and every single time it failed. I don't know why it failed. I just know that it failed. If personal friendships are a way to circumvent the politics, that's a great decision. But you have to give the player more feedback. It's not fair to a player to say, oh, you fail randomly, just keep trying. Because you have to give the player something. some indication of how you make friends with someone. Because if the friendship rivalry system is that important, you have to make it clear. Now, maybe the Cicero update hits and changes all of this, and my life goes back to normal, and I can play and enjoy Imperator Rome again. For now, though, I can't do it. It's not worth it to me. It's boring. I can't go to war most of the time, unless I just go whole hog, go dictator, which I don't want to do. I personally would find a greater fun in playing this game and working within the Republican system. Not just beelining for dictatorship to avoid a mechanic that doesn't work the way that it should right now. So that is my take on the Pompey patch. I will make one last note, by the way. I've seen a bunch of commenters calling it the Pompey patch. That is not correct. Under Ciceronian Latin, the stress shifts if you shorten someone's name. So the character's name is Gnaeus Pompeius. But when you drop the us, it goes to Pompey. The stress shifts from the second syllable back to the first. Because the ending kind of pulls the shift along with it. So it kind of frustrates me when I hear people calling it the Pompey patch. It's Pompey. It's always been Pompey. And further note, just as an extra bonus, this isn't Pompey either. Because Latin has specific diphthongs, and EI is not one of those diphthongs. So it's actually Pompei. That's the correct way to pronounce it. Not Pompei, Pompei. I know it sounds really, really, really awkward, but that's how it works. Don't blame me. Blame the people that developed Latin thousands of years ago. Anyway, those are the last two things I want to say about the Imperator Rome update. The second thing I want to talk about is what's coming next on the channel. Yesterday I finished with RimWorld, and I talked a little bit about this at the end of the RimWorld video, but in case you didn't watch that, here's what's going to happen with the channel in the coming months. I'm going to step down the number of games that I play on a weekly basis, from 5 to ultimately 3. One other video is going to be dropping from the channel in the coming weeks. If you watch my videos closely, you probably can already guess which one that is. But in case you can't, keep watching and it'll become very clear which one is getting dropped. And I'm doing this for a couple of reasons. First of all, I tend to play certain games so long that I stop enjoying them. If I burn out on a game, I think that comes through when I do my video recordings. And you enjoy it less. At least that's the sense that I get. I'd rather do 3 games every week that I really enjoy playing, that I can get excited about, we can talk about stuff, things like that, rather than play games just for the sense of playing them. So I'm not going to tell you what the new schedule is going to be because I don't want to spoil the other game that's going to drop, but Tropico 6 is going to take the Imperator Rome spot. I can tell you that much right now. The other thing I want to say right up front, OTP is never leaving the channel. It's my bread and butter. It's the game I probably enjoy playing more than any other game. Although I'm having a really good time with Surviving Mars too. So that's something to think about too. That game is not leaving the channel though. It is this channel's identity. I love it. I'm not going to stop playing it. So don't worry about that. If you came here for OTP, you can stay here. That's not going to change. So when we drop from 5 videos to 3, so first will be 5 videos to 4, and then 4 to 3. Starting next week, it'll just be 4 videos. Once we're down to 3 videos, I may, every once in a while, add another video or 2 to the channel. This would be for either one-shots, like the board games, or, that's really awkward, digital board games. There we go. Or a really short run of another game. Maybe a game that I just want to spend 2 or 3 episodes highlighting, but not something I think has the depth to sustain a longer series. Or a game with a very clear beginning and end that I can play in 1 or 2 weeks, and then you can watch it, and then you can make your own decision. That's what I'm looking at in the near future. with 3 videos constantly and then other videos being added as I see fit. It gives me the flexibility so that if there's a really cool new game that I want to cover in depth, I have that open slot. And if I don't want to do that, I don't have to. I don't have to feel obligated to constantly provide 5 videos each and every week. So that's what's going on with the channel. That's why there's no Imperator Rome, and that's why starting next week you're going to start seeing fewer videos on the channel. 3 is the base. I'm probably never going to drop below 3 unless there's a very serious reason for me to do so. Like, I'm going to be out of town for like 6 weeks or something. Then I could see maybe dropping to 1 or even 2 games. But I plan to produce enough of a backlog to constantly give you guys 3 new episodes each and every week of games. So hopefully you guys understand. Feel free to share your own opinions in the comments down below. It probably won't change my mind, but I want you to feel that you have the opportunity to share your feedback. And maybe someone will have this amazing argument and I'll change my mind and I'll go back to the way the things were. But I think 3 videos a week is sufficient for the moment. So, thank you for watching. Subscriptions are always appreciated. Share comments down below. But until next time, this is a bit of Indian, and I bid you good day.